Hello. Oh, there we go. Hello, everyone. I see I had some people waiting, so I thought I'd pop in early. Hello. Let me get the chat open. So today is a lunch with Laura. I have had such a busy couple of weeks. Really crazy stuff. So busy. Hello, Adri. So I haven't had a chance in the past 2 weeks to do a whole lot of lunches with Laura, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Squish. Thank you all for coming. Hi, Leah. So before we get started, today is going to be our big watercolor color theory lesson. This is something that has been requested a bunch. Yeah, today is Friday the 13th, so that's fun. So happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Hi, Charlotte. Let me get my selfie up. I'm on live chat. Good. So we'll be doing watercolor for the bulk of this video, but before we get started, I just wanted to show you something, guys. So exciting. So what is in the box? This is, so I have to say, thank you to everybody who has done super chats or who has purchased items that on my wish list and sent them to me that I could use on my channel. All of those bits and bobs of donations, they all will get used on my channel at some point or another. And for the big super chat, I just got my first YouTube check the last month, and so I've been saving it up. So my first YouTube check went towards what I'm going to be now calling the Laura's Lunchbox. Yes, just I haven't changed them yet. This is just the polish that I put on a couple of days ago, but it didn't chip, at least not that I can see yet. Usually it chips right away, so I was like, oh, I'll just leave it. Hello. Hi, Loretta, Joey. Who else have we got here? Hi, Jody and Louise. Okay, hello, everybody. There's a lot of people here. Well, at least a lot for me. So if you can just put what you need to tell me in all caps, that way I know. Hi, Sammy. That's all right. Lurk away. There's nothing wrong with lurking. Hi, Natalie. I'll try to make sure to keep up with the chat, but today is going to be packed filled with stuff. So anyway, Laura's Lunchbox. So I got my first YouTube check. It was $100. It took me 2 years to finally get my YouTube check, so I'm not making money from my channel. However, what I decided to do with that money is spend it on the channel. So, hi, Michelle. So what I did is I went and I purchased this box. Now, this box had a damaged edge to it. It's like bowing a little bit. So I got a discount on top of a discount for this big, gigantic box. So, whoa. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here. Some of it is stuff that I purchased new. Some of it is stuff that I've had around my house for a long time. But I just wanted to shout out, Belinda sent a $20 super chat, and the rest of the YouTube money was mostly just ad revenue. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go through the whole box, but I just wanted to sort of pull things out and kind of show you. Like, I went to Walmart and they have a back to school sale. And by the way, guys, if you don't have Prismacolors, they have Prismacolors on sale in the back to school clearance aisle at Walmart for like 20 bucks. So I would go, and if you haven't gone to Walmart, if you are looking, so I got a whole bunch of really cheap art supplies. We have, this is my Crayola color pencil roll. This is the Crazy Art colored pencil roll, and I put them in no order because they're crazy art. I have my big box of Crayola crayons. I also got some super tips at Walmart for really cheap. So now we have 50 super chip tips. I got these. These are like water-soluble oil pastels, which I thought was really fun. Yes, this is Laura's lunchbox, so we're going to, this is the twistable crayons. So we've got twistable pencils and twistable crayons, and these came with the super tips. They're like double-sided pencils. We've got oil pastels, soft pastels. These are all really cheap. And then we've got the Kewpie pencils. These are the Japanese crayons. And then we have the Neocolor. So we have a whole bunch. Most of this stuff is not expensive. But this is like a play box where we can play. And I'm probably not going to be able to put this back together the way I had it, but whatever. I can do that later. So, the whole point is I just wanted to show you that the money that you send does go to support the channel, and I really do appreciate it. And now we have more fun stuff to play with. And now when we do lunches with Laura and I'm not sure what to do, we'll just pull out the lunch box and see what we're going to do. Oh, it's heavy. Okay. Put that away. So thank you guys again. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to take you guys on a ride down. Yeah, the snacks, I'm not going to put any snacks in there, Susie, but, yeah, Sammy, I need a chocolate bar. All right, well, I'll eat my lunch before I do my lunches with Laura, but, that lunch box is way more fun for me than, snacking. Although, you know, I like snacking too. Let's see. I think I've missed some people. Hi, Pat. Hi, Louise. I think I said hi, but if I didn't, hello again. So I'm gonna bring you down. Hold on. What's funny is when I was going to bring out that box, it is so big that it wouldn't fit. I had to actually put my camera mount up in a different way. It was really funny. So I'm gonna bring you down, so just if you get nauseous, you're going for a ride, sorry. Alright, so I have you at an angle here. Let's see if I can get it a little better. Alright. I have you at an angle here because I want, yes, that'll work. I want to be able for you to see the way that the water interacts with the paper. I think it's easier to see at an angle. Let's see, we've got a lot of chat today. Hello, everybody. Hello, Daria. Hello, Bunny. Yeah, Michelle. I didn't get all that stuff at Walmart, but I got a bunch of new stuff at Walmart. So, I got the big box at Michael's. It was on 40%, but then because it was damaged, I actually got it for cheaper. They gave me 20% off of that. So, woot. Okay, I'm just setting up my watercolors here. So what I did in preparation, I don't normally prepare for lunches with Laura, but in preparation for this video, I did prepare a little bit. The reason why is because I just got a new set of watercolors. Shout out, thank you so much, from one of the fans of my show, and she's a wonderful friend of mine, and she sent me the set of Holbein watercolors. I've wanted these watercolors practically my entire life, it seems like. So when she sent them to me, I was really excited, and I just wanted to see how they compared to the other brands that I already have. So, so you'll see here I have a chart and the comparable colors in each brand. And some of them I don't have a color for, like the Winsor & Newton set is not complete in my eyes, so we won't be using that. The Kuretake is very, very good except for the one color which I couldn't really get a match for. And the Daniel Smith is good, but I don't actually have every color. I have a dot card sheet. I'll show you what that is. Where is it? I don't even know where I put it. It's like a dot sheet. Oh, here it is. All the way to the back. So if you are a fan of Daniel Smith watercolors, what you can do is purchase like this little dot sheet. It gives you a tiny sample of each color so you can kind of like test them out and see which one you actually want to buy. I think it's like 10 bucks on Amazon or something. So I have these little dot sheets, so that's what I use just to compare the colors. I don't actually have every color in that set. But the one brand that I do have a consistent color chart for is the Holbein Watercolor. So I finally have a complete set. Oh, Michelle, okay, so I use a lot of different kinds of brushes. We can go through that. Yeah, it was an amazing gift. Thanks. I'm glad you like the lunchbox, Michelle. So I'll just go through. So here's two. Oh, where's my 6? Here it is. So here's 2 brushes. I use most of my brushes are old. Hold on, let me see if I can find. Here's a newer-ish one. Okay, so for me, there's first of all, when you're doing watercolor, yeah, Shannon, finally a complete set of watercolors. I'm like, I have a hodgepodge, and my watercolor box is filled with every kind of brand. So I have some handmade watercolors that were gifted to me by a family member. I have now the new Holbein set. Then I have a lot of, like, I have the Winsor & Newtons, I have some Daniel Smiths, I have some Sennelier. Basically, when people give me watercolor, I just add them to the, I'm almost running out of room now, but I add them to this big tin, and so I have like a complete set of all the colors I own, except for the Kuritakis and the, I do also have a Yarka St. Petersburg watercolor set, but I know that's a vintage set, and I know a lot of those colors are not the same as the current set that's in production today, so that's why I don't want to use that as a reference for you guys. Anyway, let's talk about brushes. Hi, Natalia. I think I'm missing some people. If you want to talk to me, just put it in all caps so that way I know that you're talking to me. So we have 2 types of brushes here, and in general, I don't use real animal hair. I don't really see too much of a difference except for the price tag. However, I know some people are really picky about using real animal hair, and that's fine too. I'm not passing any judgment. It's just that for my budget and what I'm looking to accomplish, I don't feel it's necessary for me to go whole hog, if you will. Anyway, so what I have here is 2 different synthetic bristle brushes. However, they are not the same at all. And the reason why they're different is in the way that they spring back. So watch how this one is very responsive and very, you guys like my dumb pun, it's very snappy. It bounces back really fast. And then this one is very floppy. It's like softer. This one's much more rigid, and this one's much more floppy. Yeah, this is a cheap brush I got. I don't remember exactly where, but it's the Crafter's Choice Royal and Nickel, Nickel, yeah, one of those. This is the reason I like it is this little, oh, it's so nice on your hands, this little comfort grip thing. And so what I look for when I'm looking for these 2 types of brushes is simply a golden Taklon. The regular white Taklon brushes are not treated with a chemical that makes them more absorbent. So, yeah, exactly, the squishy thing. Yeah, me too. So the golden Taklon brushes are treated with a chemical reaction that makes the synthetic fibers much more absorbent for water. So I always get a golden Taklon. Oh, I can tell you about shedding, Michelle. We can go over that too. So if you want, so the difference between the 2 is really in how they perform on the paper. So the golden Taklons are much snappier, they hold less water, but they also have more control. They're much more responsive. So if you struggle with control and water control, then maybe a synthetic golden taklon is better for you. For the first, I don't know, 15 years of me watercoloring, I used only golden taklons. However, recently I've gotten much more comfortable with watercolor, and I've noticed that I have more control over my wet and wet washes. So I've recently swapped over. This is a synthetic squirrel. This is the Princeton Neptune. It's a 6 round. But, nice, Susie. The Schminkies are good too. So this is a synthetic squirrel bristle brush. Now, it's still not real animal. The way that they've created these synthetic bristles is so soft and pliable, and the chemical treatment they used on the bristles themselves make this brush so much more absorbent that I can hold like 10 times, well, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I can hold so much more water in this brush than in this brush. So if you are more comfortable with watercolor, I consider this a more advanced brush because it's harder to control. However, if you love getting big, wet, juicy washes, this is the brush for you. So those are the main differences, mostly in both the snap and the responsiveness of other types of brushes, so I can't really give any recommendations. But for beginners, synthetic bristles, in my opinion, are just fine, and they don't break the bank like the big, you know, the really expensive brushes. Okay, so, I was going to talk about, okay, so if your brushes, even my cheapest, I've got so many really cheap, this brush, Golden Fleece WCR, this brush here, I keep it capped because I use it for travel. Okay, so this brush here is a watercolor brush, but you can tell just by how messy it is. This is over 20 years old. However, the bristles still do not fall out. I mean, it's a little bit worse for wear. I don't know if you can see some of the bristles are splayed a little bit. This is a detail brush, but none of the bristles fall out. And the reason why your bristles fall out is because you're using warm water or hot water. So I'll just talk a little bit about how brushes are constructed, and then we're going to move on into the actual color theory lesson. But this is usually a wooden handle that's painted. This metal is called a ferrule. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But anyway, it's just a bit of metal that's wrapped around and crimped right here. And it has glue in it, and that glue and the crimping is what holds the bristles in place. So the bristles, even though you only see this much, it's like an iceberg, the bristles actually go all the way down the whole interior of this ferrule. And what happens is when you use warm water to clean, or hot water to clean your brushes, is that glue slowly releases. Another problem that I find beginners or even more advanced students do that is a mistreatment of your brushes is once you've done cleaning it, yeah, no more warm water, lukewarm water. So what I do, I treat my brushes like my baby. I hold this part of my hand underneath the faucet. When it's lukewarm and not hot, that's when I use it on my, and I even use cold water for, hi babe, everybody, Mark is my boyfriend. Hi, we're talking about brushes. Thanks for popping in, babe. Hello. Hi, Gianluca. So I even use cold water on watercolors because really watercolors are, they can reactivate with water. So even if you leave a little bit of paint in the bristles, you won't really have any trouble getting them out again. So I use cold water for my watercolor brushes. I use lukewarm water for my acrylics and any other stuff that will ruin the brush once it's dried. So, the other thing I wanted to mention is no matter how cheap the brush, as long as you take care of it, it will last you forever. So, another problem that people do is when they are when they're done washing their brushes, they stand them upright in a jar right away. I never ever do this. When that happens, what happens is when it's sitting upright in a jar, say you've just washed it and then you put it upright in the jar after you're done washing it and it's still wet, the water will seep down into this section of the ferrule and eventually cause like moldy or rot. So if your brushes smell funny, it's because you're not letting them dry completely. So yeah, it rots it out. So instead what I do is once I'm done washing it, I just lay it flat on the sink with the edge overhanging the sink edge so it can just drip dry. And so by laying it flat, it allows, I can't, you can hang them upside down. I don't bother doing that. I just make sure to lay them flat. The water drips out, and then you can prop it up a little so that they're at a slight angle. But yeah, so that's a really, really great way to keep. This is a 20-year-old brush, and it will probably give me another 20 years of life if I treat it well. So yeah, I don't buy brushes very often because I don't need to. And even the cheapest, I've had like cheap Crayola brushes and they don't drop hairs either. So I think it's all in how you treat them. Okay, so anyway, my brush lecture. I'm sorry, I'm really obsessive about my brushes, if you couldn't tell. And it's just because they get expensive, like I know each brush might not be expensive, but once you start collecting them, it can get very pricey. So anyway, the colors that we'll be using today. Hi Scooby. Oh, well, thanks for watching. Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. This is what it's all about today. We're talking about watercolor and also about color theory at the same time. So this is going to be amazing. I won't probably be able to cover all of color theory in one day because that's just impossible. But we're going to get started on the basics. And I'm just going to preface this whole video by saying I am not an expert, okay? Um, I took one color theory class in college. It was actually a graphics design class that was masquerading as a color theory class, and unfortunately, I disagreed with everything that the teacher said. Well, not everything, but I didn't really like the class at all. I found it to be very old school and boring, and I hated it, to be honest with you. So, I know, right? I'm just like, man, why does this class suck? So, I just sort of ignored what the teacher said and did my own thing, and so I don't think I got an A in that class. I think I was like a B minus or something because I was so bad. But, you know, the thing I want to say about color is that there's a science and an art to it. There are two sides to color. The sciencey bit is the physics of light. Now, what I did is after I took that awful color theory class, it got me sparked an interest in color theory, I will admit. So at least it did that. But then what I did is I actually took a physics class while I was in college called the physics of light and lenses, actually, because I was a filmmaking major. That's probably why I like making videos so much. I didn't graduate as an art major. I didn't graduate as a web dev major, which is what I do for a living. I graduated as a filmmaking major, so with a minor in art history. So in my filmmaking classes, they were talking about light and lenses and all sorts of really technical stuff. So I thought I would take a physics class. And that class was so much more informative about how light works, about the colors in the light spectrum and how they interact with each other and how light bends and moves. And I'm really geeking out here, but so that physics class is actually where I learned a lot about light and color. But as far as my actual color theory background goes, I'm really not an expert. So I'm just going to tell you what I know and my experiences and what I've learned over the years. But I want you to take this with a grain of salt because there's also a whole lot of art to color. So the sciencey bit is like the actual like hard evidence, like wavelengths and the light spectrum and all the colors that can be produced from light. But then the art side to it is the subjective. You know, what does color mean? What does it make you feel like when you look at it? How do colors, when they are added together, contrast each other and bring something out that's different? So there's a science and an art, and I am not an expert. So if there's something you disagree with or whatever, then please do put it in the comments. I'm always interested in your feedback, but just know that if you disagree with me, that's fine too, because I didn't agree with my color theory teacher either, so. She made us do the whole, okay, you've all seen this thing. I'm not reproducing the color wheel today. We're not doing this. This is not fun. This is a good exercise if you are bored, but we're not doing that. You can learn what you need to from the color wheel by just looking at it, in my opinion. We're not doing that. But what you will need is only a few basic colors. Yeah, I mean, it's a good exercise. I did learn something from making my own color wheel, but honestly, I feel like there are a lot more ways to absorb color than just that way, and it's so overtaught that I'm not going there. So we're doing the weird method, the Laura way. Oh, thanks, babe, for stopping in. I hope you have a great day at work, or continue to have a good day. Yeah, Roy G. Biv, that's all well and good, but we're gonna actually go much weirder, different than that. So what I do want to say is that there is a cool and a warm of each primary color, but I'm going to say that I disagree with the primary color palette. So we're going to have some haters on this video, I'm pretty sure. But red, yellow, and blue are not the primary colors, and I'll tell you why. Is because if you look at a printer, it does not have red, yellow, and blue in the inks. And yet a printer can print just about any color in the rainbow. So why doesn't a printer have red, yellow, and blue? Instead, they have CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So if you look at a printer and see, I'm a graphic designer, so I pay attention to printers. I know all about Pantone colors. So this is why I'm saying I don't agree with the color wheel and all of the colors that you need to make the colors that you want. So what you'll see here is there's a cool and a warm of each primary color. So there's this here is a rose or a magenta. This is a warm red here. We have yellow, which luckily he's pretty happy in both spots. Yellow is one of those colors that you can like I have a yellow ochre here. You can you know, have two of, but really you can get away with just having one yellow. As far as the blues go, we have warm blue and cool blue, and then I love adding to my palette a bunch of natural colors because I use them for landscapes, and I know a lot of people in the coloring community color flowers a lot, so these would be useful as well. However, the only ones that you really need are these up here. And so in the Holbeins we have, and I'm just going to go through the color chart as much as I can. I know I'm missing a few, and I'm sorry about that. I just, I don't think so, Pat. I don't think that color theory has caught up to modern science and technology, unfortunately. But that's okay because we can just make our own. That's what I said. We're tossing out the color wheel. We're doing our own thing. So in the cool reds, we're looking for, in Holbein, W012. In Daniel Smith, the Quinacridone red. And actually, any Quinacridone or anything that says rose or magenta in it would be a very good cool red for this. In Winsor & Newton, I'm not sure. And in the Kuretake set, we have number 34. So I'm just going to go through this chart so that way you just know what you need, and then we'll get started on the actual mixing. I'm sorry. Hi, Susan. Hello. Who else? Okay, so then the dark cool red, for the Holbeins we have W010. For the Daniel Smith's Alizarin Crimson, this is a very classic old color. I use it. Yeah, Coloru, I've noticed that too. It depends on the printer though. For Winsor & Newton, again, Alizarin Crimson, and for Kuretake, we have number 36. Hello, Shell. How you doing? For warm red, now I consider this optional, and I'll show you why. We can actually make this color from our cool red, but sometimes it's nice just to have a color available to you, just so that you don't have to mix it and then mix it again. So we're gonna, what the color I suggest for the warm red is W019. For Daniel Smith, the Cad Red Medium Hue. For the Winsor & Newton, Winsor Red is a really nice warm red. And for the Kuretake set, we have number 32. For yellow, pretty much any lemon yellow in any color set will work beautifully for this. You want to make sure it's a really bright yellow because it's hard. You can't make this color. You just can't make it. So, but you can make this color from this color, and we can go through that if you want. So for the yellow, we want in the Holbein set W035. For the Daniel Smith, we want lemon yellow. Winsor & Newton, we want lemon yellow, and for the Kuretake, we want number 40. For warm blue, now this is usually called cerulean blue or sky blue, and this, even though it's not quite cyan, it's the closest that I can find to a cyan, and we can make cyan pretty well by lightening this color up, just by using more water. So the Holbein set, we're going to use W092. For Daniel Smith, it's called Cerulean Blue, and my dot chart was really dried out, and I couldn't really activate the color very well, but the actual color, I'm guessing from the tube, is probably a lot nicer than this result here. The Winsor & Newton set, we have Cerulean Blue, and for the Kuretake set, we have number 63. For a warm dark blue, the reason I suggest both a light and a dark for the warms is because this color is so hard to make that I find it easier to go ahead and grab another tube of. You can make it from the cerulean blue, but really I just love having this particular warm blue available to me. So it's sort of like the warm red, you know, you don't need it, but you know, it's nice to have. So we have the warm dark blue, it's W097 in the Holbein set. For the Daniel Smith, we have Prussian blue. Winsor & Newton would be Prussian blue or some other similar equivalent. And then the Kuretake had two colors which might work, but I prefer number 67. For the Holbeins, for the cool blue, now this blue is really critical for making purples. If you try and make a purple out of one of these colors, then you're just going to fail. I mean, it's not going to look right if you want a bright saturated purple. So we do need a cool blue. For the Holbein set, it's W094. For Daniel Smith, it's Ultramarine blue. For Winsor & Newton, it's French Ultramarine, but you can see, even though they're called different, it's really the exact same pigment. And then for Kuretake, this is the one that I could not find a nice cool blue for. So if you're using the Kuretake set, you're going to struggle with making purples out of just the primary colors. Now luckily with the Kuretake set, it does come with a purple. So, you know, it's, you know, you can get around it for that set. Something's happening. Oh, yeah, bunny. Yeah, well, that's alright. Companies are always trying to squeeze us, I guess. Alright, but that's okay. We live in a world like that now, unfortunately. Hardly anybody seems to be honest. Oh, I forgot to write down the name. Well, it's probably yellow ochre. Let's see. Yeah, yellow ochre. Let me just write that in, just that I Okay, so then down here are colors which are nice to have but not need to have. So what this means is you don't need these colors. You can actually make all of these colors, well, except for black. I mean, you can make black, but it's nice to have black. But all of these are just colors, which I wanted to suggest if you're just creating a basic palette and you just want to get started. These colors, especially if you're doing landscapes or florals, are really nice to have, but you don't need them. So we can make all of these colors, but they're just really handy. So the yellow brown is, you know, it could be yellow oxide, yellow ochre, you know, any one of those kind of earthy yellows is what I'll call them. So in Holbein it's W034. Daniel Smith we have yellow ochre. Winsor & Newton we have yellow ochre, and see they're the same pigment. So a lot of these brands, they look, the only difference between them, like, is really just the consistency and what they put in their paint and the granulation, and that all has a lot to do with the fillers and the what's it called? You know what I'm talking about. Gosh, what? I've blanked. But in any case, there's a chemical, gum arabic. Thank you. There's a it's like with the medium of watercolor. Anyway, in Kuretake, the yellow brown is number 44. Okay, for a warm brown, this is the brown that I use to make skin tone a lot, so I just prefer to have it handy. Again, we can make it, but really nice to have it. In the Holbeins, it's W134. In Daniel Smith, Italian Burnt Sienna. This is actually a little bit cooler than I prefer, but it was the closest match I could find. In the Winsor & Newton, we have Burnt Sienna, and then for the Kuretake, we have number 46. Now, I don't think that this color, this pigment, is as saturated as the others. I had a hard time getting a nice dark color out of this set, so just fair warning, you might need to mix a little black or another more red and green into it to make it the right saturation. For black gray, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of sets do come with multiple types of blacks. Normally when you're looking for blacks, Ivory black is the neutral black. If it says Mars black, it has a little bit of red to it. You have all sorts of different types of black. Yes, pigment, thank you. um, yeah. Hello, Joe Beth. So for the blacks, my pick would be Holbein W138. Daniel Smith, we have Ivory black. Winsor & Newton, again, Ivory black. Now for the Daniel Smith, again, since I was using the dot chart, I just had a hard time getting the pigment up off the paper. It'll actually, when it comes out of the tube, it'll be a lot darker than this. I was able to get a little bit of black in that one spot. And then for Kuretake, we have number 20. For the greens, the reason why I chose to add some greens is, again, I like using these for landscapes, and also I know a lot of color book artists like to use watercolor for like backgrounds for floral scenes and stuff, so having a couple of greens handy always nice. What I find is that mixing these earthier sort of landscapey color greens are a little tricky sometimes, so for beginners especially, I would recommend picking up maybe one or two of these greens if you prefer. So for a earthy green, like a spring green or a sap green, Holbein, we have W066. This is actually a little bluer than I'd prefer, but the Holbeins didn't come with an exact spring green, but we can mix some yellow into that to make the color we're after. Daniel Smith, we have green gold. I love that color. For Winsor & Newton, sap green. That's a really popular color. Kuretake, we have number 53, which I think is really lovely as well. And then for a dark green, if you want to go that route, you can definitely do that. The ones I recommend for landscapes and natural greens, Holbein, we have W065. Daniel Smith, deep sap green. I just love that color. Winsor Newton Perylene Green. I recently found this color and I'm obsessed with it now. And then Kuretake, again, that's a little too blue for my taste, but it was the closest match, number 56. Oh, good. I'm so glad it's helpful. Okay, so this is my, if I only had a small selection of colors, if I only had, you know, if I only picked one bit of the brand and just went to the store and bought tubes, then these would be this would be my pick. So what I'm trying to do is just show you that you can make anything out of this basic set. And what we're going to do is actually, I'm going to take this out. Let me really quickly tear this out of the book. Of course I rip it. The one problem about this book is that the perforation is not precise. That's fine. Okay, so I just tore it out. Let me just fix this a little bit here. And then what we're going to do is use this as our guide. So I'm only going to use these colors and make sure that the lesson just includes mixing of these colors. Okay, well, don't mind the raggedy edge. I don't know why this book does that, but if you get this book, just make sure to cut the edge if you that's okay, Shell. You can watch it back. So this is going to be my guide. I have a lot of other colors. You can see this is my swatch sheet for this tin. I'm not going to use all these colors. We don't need them. We only need a very small selection. We only need these guys here. But having these also is really nice and really fun as well. So I'm going to just stand that up right here. Actually, just hold it like this. So now that we've done all the boring chart stuff. Okay, Adri, no problem. So now that we've done all the boring stuff, let's get on into actually doing something. Let's see. Yeah, you can watch it back. Don't worry. Hi, Pickle. I think I said hi. Hi, Victoria. Thank you for coming, and thank you to anybody else I might have missed. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. This is what you guys actually showed up for, and 42 minutes in, we're finally actually getting to it. Sorry about that. This is going to be a long stream, I think, today, guys, because this is going to be a lot to explain. So let's talk first about warm and cool. You may think, okay, well, let's start off here. So you may think that red is a warm color. You would be correct. But this here is the Quinacridone red from Daniel Smith, and I'm going to use the W019. Sorry, I'm not as familiar with my Holbeins. I've just started using them, so I do have to refer to my chart. And this is a warm red from the Holbein set. Doesn't matter what brand we use, as long as we're using those colors on that chart, we'll be fine. So even though red is a warm color, you can see here that this is so much cooler than this. Like if you put them side by side. And what's crazy is this happens with every single color on the color wheel. So even yellow, we'll use the lemon yellow. This here. So the lemon yellow here, this is considered a cool yellow. And now we're going to use the ochre. This is a warm yellow. Now I consider this more earthy, orangey yellow, but it's still considered a yellow. Yeah, so we're going to go through that, Pat, because a lot of people have trouble with that. It's not just you. What's Cerulean? Yes, this guy. So now let's do it again for the blue, and let's talk about what makes it warm and cool. So let's see here. This is a warm I'm gonna put him here, and I'm not worried about making this perfect, obviously. We're just playing, and please feel free if you have watercolors, even if you don't have the exact colors I use. I hope that my chart gives you a little bit more of a gist of the colors you'll need. Please feel free to play along and get into it with us, because I'm just trying to make sure I get the right color here. Because I feel like just playing a lot with color is what makes you really good at it. So your own experience and your own intuition will guide you once you get going. So this is my color wheel. It's not a wheel at all. I mean, you know, all of these colors are on here. So if you see yellow, orange, that's there. We've got yellow, we've got blue, they're calling it blue violet. And we've got, see, they're calling that red orange. They don't really have this color, so I think this is the major miss there on the color wheel. But they have all these colors, you know, somewhere on there. I guess it's kind of like red violet, just sort of not in between the two. Well, in any case, so traditional people, we'll just compare my method to the way that teachers, you know, across the United States do it, at least. So the warm and cool colors on the color wheel, you go right through here. So all of these are cool colors, and all of these are warm colors. That's what people will say. However, there is a warm and a cool for each color. So, you know, even if you have a red, you can see here we have a cool red and a warm red. This is definitely more blue, and this is definitely more orange. So, oh, Jody. I think I missed something. Hello, Erica. Oh, I'm sorry your pain is really rough. But don't worry about chatting. You can just lurk and watch or just go rest. This will be here when you are feeling better. Hope that happens soon. So what we have here, we have cools and we have warms in general on the palette. On the color wheel. But I'm not really concerned about that. We all know that the analogous colors, these guys look good together, and these guys look good together, just instinctually, right? Because if say you're painting fire, you're going to be using these colors. If you're painting a landscape, you're going to be using these colors. So we just know from nature, and I draw my inspiration a lot from nature. We know from nature what colors look good together, but what we need to know is how color works, how it actually interacts with each other. So now let's do some mixing. I'm going to show you the difference between a warm and a cool color when you mix it. So we have the same reds here. We have, and I'm going to just do, the reason I chose watercolor for this is because they're transparent and they blend together really well. So we have a cool red and a warm red. Let's just grab the same colors. And this may seem repetitive, but you'll see in a minute what I'm doing. Okay, and let's try and make purple with that. Now, I know from my own experience that the color I'm going to be needing to use is a cool blue. But let's show you how it will look when mixed with these two, because everybody says, right, conventional wisdom says, well, you know, blue and red make purple, but it will not make the same purple. And purple is one of the hardest colors to mix, in my opinion. Let's just make sure I get the right blue. So here's the Ultramarine Deep from Holbein. So I'm just going to drop this right in. I probably have too much. So let's just add a little bit of water to that to kind of mix it together. So even though we've got red and blue in both situations, you can see that for a cool color like purple, you want a cool and a cool. and not a warm and a cool. Warm and cool colors make mud, which is also very useful in some situations. So if you don't want a bright purple, if you want to mute it more, let's put a little more blue in this just so that you guys can see how it's interacting. Okay, so if you want a muddier purple, not a really saturated purple, but more of a kind of like a muted brown purple, then maybe that's the color you're after. Oh, good. I didn't know. Which one, Bunny? I admit I don't watch color theory videos because I had a bad experience, so now I just do my own thing. Okay, so let's try another experiment. Let's try and make orange, but from these two colors. Now, I'm going to say orange is one of the easiest, in my opinion, colors to make. So we've gone from the hardest to the easiest. Let's start first with the yellow. We've got the lemon yellow here. Okay. And the yellow ochre here. Oh, I still got a little. That's okay. It's on the top. Let's just get that off. So we've got the yellow ochre and the lemon yellow. Now let's mix in. Now we know from experience that that orange is a warm color, so we want to use a warm red. However, with yellow, you can use both a warm or a cool red, and it will make a really cool result. So let's just do what we're supposed to do, just to show you how easy orange really is to make. They're going to be different colors, however, they'll still be orange for sure. So red is a powerful, powerful pigment in comparison to yellow, so I'm going to only use a little bit. Oh, that's too much. Okay. Let's just smoosh this until it works. So this is the warm red here, the W019 from Holbein. And this creates a beautiful saturated orange. So if you want a really bright orange, that's the color that you're looking for. Oh, my chat. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Adri and Victoria. Well, I hope you guys feel better soon. Hi, Connie. How you doing? Michelle, we can go over paper in a little bit. I'm going to keep going on this, but we can cover paper. Let me actually reactivate this a little bit. So let's keep going. I don't want to jump around too much, but we'll go down that rabbit trail in a minute. So the same red, the same warm red, when mixed with the cool, or rather, no, this is the warm yellow, still makes a very beautiful orange. So yellow is one of those colors that if you're trying to make orange, you're going to have a lot of luck. It's the only way you can make a yucky orange is if you have like muddy yellow. Okay, so now let's try and make a green, and we'll do the same exercise. So let's put down the ultramarine first. Ooh, it's juicy now. And the cerulean blue, which is here. And we're going to try and make a green. Now, green is one of those colors, again, very, very widely varied depending on how you mix them. So for green, if you want a bright, saturated spring green, you're going to want to use the cool yellow, the lemon yellow. Yeah, I love ultramarine. It's one of my favorite colors of all time. So for a For an for a green, you want to use lemon yellow. It's the cool yellow. It makes a really beautiful yellow, no matter, I mean, a beautiful green. Gosh, words, don't fail me now. So I have here, now ultramarine's a really saturated pigment. Now you'll see this is a cool blue, and so it's not going to make a nice bright yellow, green, yellow, green. It's not going to make a nice bright green, but for landscapes, this is actually not a bad green. It's like a sappy green. Oh, okay. Cool, bunny. Okay, and now for the next bit, this is if you want a nice, beautiful, bright spring green. So we use the lemon yellow with the cerulean, makes a nice bright spring green. The lemon yellow with the ultramarine makes a more dulled green. So you can see that there's not a whole lot of cut and dry as far as color mixing goes. Every color interacts with every other color in a different way. That is true even from pigment to pigment in different brands. So if you're not getting these results, don't be too frustrated. You know, if you have trouble, post it in the comments below or email me photos of what you're struggling with, and we can go through that. So before we keep going, Michelle did ask what kind of paper I like. See, the reason why I don't want to. So for practices and just, you know, doodling and not like this is like, you know, I just did a quick wash, you know, this is just like a 10-minute doodle that I did, you know. So for just like teaching and for quick, you know, sketching and stuff, I use this Canson XL mixed media pad. What I like about it, it's not 100% cotton, and some people swear by 100% cotton, but what I like about it is it doesn't buckle. It's 140 pound and it's super cheap. I always get the one. I always look for the extra sheets for free because I'm a cheapie and I want those extra 6 sheets. But yeah, I do a lot of doodles and sketching. I'm not a professional watercolor artist yet. Well, I mean, you know, I do some, you know, but in any case, if you're just doodling and doing these like color theory lessons and stuff, don't get expensive paper. But I also have lots of other pads and books. So I have here, and I'll put links in the description below to all of the different types of paper I like to use. I do use the Strathmore 500 series, which is a cotton paper. I also recently just got this little Field Artist Masters Series watercolor paper. It's 140 pound and it's in this cute little book. So this will be, you know, a nice little travel book for me. I haven't started in it yet. But I got this on Amazon. Another type of paper. Just where are you? Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Come on. Out you get. Thank you. Well, I don't have all of my paper at the ready. I've got them in my other room, but here's another travel water. I mostly use watercolor when I'm out and about. So here's another travel watercolor book, which I find really nice to work with. It's by Strathmore. I got this, I believe, at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. This is the 400 series, so it's not 100% cotton, but it's just got really nice like landscape format, so you can like you can do landscapes really easy, and the paper is nice. Another type of paper I really love, I don't have it handy here, but it's called the Bee Paper Company. They have this ready cut 100% cotton watercolor sheets that are amazing. So after this video is over, just in the description below, I will put links to all these things. Just give me like a couple hours to, thank you, Joe Beth. Just give me like a couple hours to go and gather all those links for you guys. Back to color mixing. All right, I didn't think this through because now I'm gonna need another page. Just take this out. Let's see if I can actually get it out without, actually I'll just take the next one out. Sorry guys, hold on. I'm gonna totally damage that one page, but that's fine. This is just for demonstration. Oh, gosh. Okay. And for classes, I like having loose papers. Just I go through paper. Like, that's why I don't buy expensive paper. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm really happy to help you guys out. And this is one of my most requested videos in a long time. So, we're going to go through some more color mixing. Let's just play with color and mix stuff. We're not doing any artwork today. We're just slapping color down on the paper because this is great. Just making sure. Hi Kathy. Hi Corbeth. Hello. Sorry I missed you coming in. Hello, hello. Okay, another tip I have, by the way, for watercolor. Let's just move this aside for a second. I always have a dirty water and a clean water. And the reason why I have both of these is because water in watercolor is a very essential, I mean, it's the first word in this name. Water is an essential vehicle for getting the color on the paper. And if you try to, so I clean my brush with this and then I pick up clean water with this one. And if you try and just use one jar, your colors will look muddy very quickly. Now, sometimes sometimes that look of a more muted color is exactly what you're going for. So sometimes I do grab my dirty water to mix my colors, but most of the time I'm using my clean water jar. Okay, so another quick tip before we get going on the next bit. I never clean off my watercolor palette because they reactivate with water. So if there's a color on here and I want to grab it again, like this is a really bluey muted gray, you know, oh, I like that, I'm gonna grab it, now I have it again. So it's yeah, this is not necessary to clean. This is actually fairly clean in comparison to some of my other watercolor palettes. But yeah, so you don't have to clean your palette every time. Awesome, Victoria. That's so cool. Yeah, and we can do some other watercolor painting tutorials as well here. But I just thought watercolor is a great color mixing tool because it's so quick and it's transparent, so they're really nice for layering. All of the things that I'm doing here though, all of the color mixing, all of the pigments that I'm talking about, they all will transfer to every single media. So I'm talking about acrylics, oil paint, even things like, you know, the lauracolorstoos and colored pencils. So even though we're not using those medium today, everything you learn here can be applied to your other media. So once you learn color theory once, luckily it does translate, which is amazing. Most companies use all the same pigments, they're just using different vehicles to get that pigment to you. So the cadmium red in watercolor is the same cadmium red in acrylic paint or oil paint. It's even the same pigment that you would find in your color pencil. It's just that the color pencil is obviously, you know, it's got a different media to get it on the paper. Okay. Enough with the sidebar, let's keep going. The next thing I want to show you is, so we just went through the basic colors, the secondary colors, if you will, in traditional classes, you know, like purple. Look, I kind of messed it up because I wiggled the paper a lot, but purple, orange, and green. But there is so much more we can do with all these colors. I can actually make any color that I want from just the small selection of, oh, excuse me, the small selection of primary colors that we've picked out. Sorry. Clumsy. Okay. So the next bit that I want to do, I just want to show you guys how to mix black from everything except black. Now, sometimes this works great, sometimes it doesn't. But let's see what we can do. So for this, I'm going to actually show you my my thingy. Hi, Christina. Let's just show you my tray. I'll do it up here where I don't normally. Okay, so the first color we're going to need is the Alizarin Crimson, which is, wait, sorry, I'm not as familiar with this one. So the dark, that's why I include the dark and the light red. Because we don't technically need black if all goes to plan. Now, I haven't done this in a while, so watch I do it wrong. So we have the cool dark red. The, you know, on our little chart here, it's this line here. So Alizarin Crimson, or W010, or number 36 in the Kuretake set. Now what we're going to do is the warm dark blue. So in most sets it's the Prussian blue, or in the Holbein it is the W097. Now I actually prefer the Daniel Smith Prussian blue over the Holbein color here. So I'm gonna see, do I actually have that? Is that one that I have? Prussian, oh no, that's from this. Which one do I have? Oh, here it is, Prussian blue. Okay, so we're going to use this guy, which is, sorry, I'm not, I just got these, so I'm not as used to using them. That's this guy here. So we are using the Holbeins. So I'm just loading up my brush with a bunch of the color. And this is already a really dark kind of, here, I'll put it on the paper just because it's hard to see. I think there's too much blue in there. Hold on. Let me put some more red. Yeah, so this is already like a really dark, muted purple. Let's just do... I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like a muted purple. It's not a really bright purple. But now to make it, so the opposite on the color wheel, if you want to make a neutral color, where'd my color wheel go? Gosh guys, it's like I lost my head this morning. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. So if you want to make a brown or a gray on the color wheel, we're gonna refer to this guy, but we're not gonna actually do it. So if you, the color we have is like a violet color. If you want to make a brown or a gray, you want to grab the opposite on the wheel. So in this situation, it's yellow. But since this is a very muted, very sort of like it's a cool yellow. I mean, a cool yellow. It's a cool purple. And here, let me actually extend this out with water just so that you can see the pigment a little bit better. It's definitely got more cool in it than warm. And how do I know? That's over time. Just looking at color, you really have to like, some of this is just pure experience from just working with color. Yeah, grays are hard until you know the secret, which is just that mix the opposites. So what we're going to use to make this into a black instead of a purple is the warm yellow. So that's why, even though you don't need this yellow, because I could make this color, I find it to be a lot easier just to have it handy. So you could use this yellow and then also just mix a little warm red in to make this sort of orangey yellow. But having this already, it just makes it easier. So we're going to use, since it's a cool See, when you want to neutralize something, you want to use a warm and a cool. So we have a cool purple, so we want to use a warm yellow. I hope this is making sense. I know it's kind of confusing, but, oh, I'm sorry. I'm moving this out of the way before I mixed it. So here's our warm yellow. Let's just grab some water, activate this color, and we're just going to drop it right on in. Now I may have used too much. It looks like I went to the brown side here. So the trick with color, let's just check. Pretty close actually. That is a very warm black or warm gray. But let's add a little bit. So if it went too warm, then what you want to do is add a cool color. Since we used, what did we use? Prussian blue. Let's grab that again. Which one is it? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, right? Prussian blue is this guy. And that will, I think I added too much. Yep, so there's a warm gray and a cool gray out of the same mixture. It's just a different proportion of color. So now that that's too warm, so color theory is not precise, right? You gotta go back and forth a couple times. So let's grab a little red again. Let's see how that looks. Ooh, that's pretty good. Let's add a little bit of the yellow. Dab. There we go. That's a neutral gray. Oh my goodness. Two weeks later. So we can, now if I didn't have as much water in this mixture, so what I can do is if I have too much water, then you know, you can let it dry out a little bit, or even let it dry completely and then reactivate it, and that will help. Because at this point I've added so much water in that there's not enough pigment anymore to make black, but you can totally see just from the same three colors, we've made a warm brown, a cool brown, a like more neutrally cool brown, gray rather, gray. They're all grays, and then a black. This is a very neutral. There's really no light or, I mean not light. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. There's really no warm or cool in that. It's very, very, very neutral. So I hope that this is catching up on camera. I hope that you guys can see this. So let's do some browns this way. And let's actually, I'll just write down these color combos. So this is, this was Alizarin and Prussian. It's like language escapes me today. And then these four here are Alizarin, Prussian, and yellow ochre. So it doesn't matter, you can use other combos too, not just those three, but I find that the alizarin, the Prussian, and the yellow ochre is really makes, since those pigments are very consistent from brand to brand, they make the most consistent blacks. Let's try making a brown out of just two colors. Or no, you're gonna need three colors, sorry. Every neutral is made up of three of the primary. So one red, one yellow, and one blue. So every single neutral color, you're gonna need some of that, some of each one, depending, you know, different quantities of each. Let's play around. Let's see, we've got, let's make a warm brown. Let's actually, so I said before we can make these two browns, so let's actually make them out of just the colors from up here, just to show you guys. Let's see if I can do it. It's been a while. So for the yellow ochre color, we're gonna need is the yellow, obviously. So let's bring this back. I like showing you my palette when I'm doing this, because then you can really get a sense of how much water I'm using, and also sort of like the so this is the Sienna yellow, which is actually really vibrant, and I'm doing it with this one, and look, I put dirty water on there, sorry, hold on, let me just, so if you do that, if you dirty up your color, you can take a clean watercolor brush, pinch out all the excess water, and then sop it up just to clean it back out. Okay. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. Okay, so the Sienna yellow, the reason I picked it is because it is super vibrant. It's more vibrant than the other ones. And so we're going to mute this guy down. So what we're going to use is the Alizarin Crimson, or the, what's it called over here? Crimson Lake. Same thing. We're going to use just a touch of it though. And the reason I'm using this is a very cool yellow. And I'm going to use a cool red, but we're going to also mix a little bit of blue in. Only a little bit though. Okay, so I only have a little bit of red. Hi, Gary. Oh, too much. So I'm using that thirsty brush technique and just lifting some of that out. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that's already close to the color we want. It's maybe a little too light now because I added too much water to it. See that? This is the color we want, and that's the yellow. So we're gonna use, let's see, I'm gonna, now it's a little too cool, you see that? So I'm gonna take a little bit more yellow, mix that in just to bring it back onto the yellow side. And so it's a little bit of Prussian, and I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of the warm red. So in this case it's too much. See, red is such a, well, it's actually okay. It's such a saturated color. There we go, that's pretty close. But it's not quite muted enough. You see how bright it is in comparison to these? So we also need to mix in a little bit of blue. So I'm just going to touch just a little bit of the cerulean blue. Let's see if that helped. Maybe just a little bit more. Now it's green. Bugger. So you can see color mixing is far from precise. It's all about just, oh man. These are so saturated, guys. Don't be upset if it takes you a minute to get the color you're after. Nothing wrong with that. Am I in camera? Yeah. Okay, let's try this again. Less blue. Haha. That's much closer. I think I just need a tiny bit of red and we'll call that a day. But now you understand why I like just to have the tube color of this. There we go. That's fairly close. I would say that is a nice approximation for yellow ochre. You can see here, and then these are the colors. Maybe it's a little bit too blue in there. You can add a little bit more red. But the reason why even though you can mix this color, I prefer just to have it, is because you saw it's pretty tricky to mix. So there's some color pigments that are just a lot easier just to have in your toolbox, but again, you do not need this color. You can make it, which is amazing. So let's try and mix now. We've got our warm brown, which in Holbein is W134. Daniel Smith is the Italian burnt sienna. Winsor & Newton is the burnt sienna, and the Kuretake is number 46. Let's just flip this around so that way we have a new fresh fresh side of the page to work on, because it's easier to compare them when they're side by side like this. So now we're going to try and make this brown. This is a brown that I love for skin tone, so it's a really essential color. But if you don't have it, we can make it. I'm going to show you how. So it's a red brown, so that right there should tell you a little bit, a little hint that we're going to have more red in there than anything else. For this one, let's see if I can remember how to do this guy. It's been a while since I've mixed these guys. This is a good experiment for me too. To just because I have, you can see here in the handmade watercolor set I actually have several different browns that I love. I love having browns in my palette, but knowing how to make them is super useful. If you have a limited set of colors, then, and knowing this information will also help you to kind of, to adjust the colors that you do have. So say you have a brown that's a little bit too red and you want to make it cooler, knowing how to mix them together and how to adjust them is super useful no matter what media you're using. So let's go ahead and do something I'm procrastinating on. Let's move the palette around a little bit. That's going to be fun. I'm trying to make it so you guys can see everything I'm doing. It's tricky though. So let's see here. We've got, I'm going to guess we're going to be using this Alizarin Crimson, or it's Crimson Lake. Let's go, can you see this right here? Yeah, you can see that. So we're going to be using, we definitely need reds. I think we're actually going to be using two different reds. I think we're going to be using Crimson Lake to get the depth and darkness, and then the brighter but more warm red. So let's do that now. So we're going to use the warm red, which is the cadmium red, or the W019 is what I'm using. Yeah. So mixing the two together, you can see here it actually gives you a really beautiful, fairly primary red. This is a primary red. When you look at the color wheel, we can mix that. If it's an actual thing you can mix, then it's not a primary color. So this red here that everybody says is primary red is not primary red. But it's nice to know how to make that color from the set that we have. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take the, let's see, we have the red, and the opposite of that is green, so we're going to need a yellow and a blue. Now, since this is a very warm brown, I'm going to use a, well, let's just use the yellow. We're not using anything below this line, right? So let's use our yellow here. Oh, no! I used a dirty brush. Not in the yellow. It's okay, we can fix it. So if you do that, you want to take your clean water, then wipe off your brush, then pinch it so there's nothing in there, and we're going to lift that right up. Saved. You got to do that while it's still wet, though. Not paying attention. Okay. We need clean water for this. And red is super powerful, so I'm going to load up my brush with a lot of yellow. Yeah, that didn't even do anything. Hello, Kenny. Hi, Shonda. Hello. Welcome, everybody that's popping in. Let's see. Looks like we've had, thank you very much, Christina, for your moderation. I don't know what happened there, but I appreciate it. Let's just keep the chat cool, guys. If you guys aren't familiar with my rules, the chat rules are in the description below. Okay, so now we have an orange going here. Hi, Hella. So that's good because you can see that the base of this is an orangey color. All right, so now to make it deep and dark and brown, because, you know, we do need brown. So like I was saying before, in all browns and grays, we need the three main colors. So we need a red, a yellow, and a blue. So we've already got reds and a yellow in here, so now we need a blue. The one I'm going to pick today is this. Since it's a warm brown, I'm going to use all warm, well, except for the yellow is not warm, but I'm going to use this warm Prussian blue. Let's just make sure I've got the right color here. We've got W97, and now my palette is upside down, which makes it even more fun. I think this is it. Yeah, okay, this might be too much. There we go. I might have just turned it green. Let's see what we got here. It's too much blue. Okay, that's fine. So what we're gonna do to fix that, if it's too much blue, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is more of a, this turned into like a gray instead of a brown. So that's okay. That happens. Like I said, color mixing is not precise. We're gonna go back and just grab some more red. Some more of that warm red. And now, just to show you, this is getting much more brown already, but it's still not quite right. We definitely need more yellow in there. Oh, look, they merged together. They're a family now. Let's make sure I get a clean brush for the yellow. There we go. Now we're starting to get into brown territory here. And the color that we're after is a little bit more red than this, but definitely getting there. So this is, again, a difficult color to mix. So that's why I love to buy, that's pretty close. It needs to be a little bit more cool red. I think we've got ourselves a look-alike for, nope, that's too much red. Let's go back to our yellow. We've got a look-alike for our burnt sienna. That's still too red. So any color that's difficult to make, that's why I've put them down here below, because I feel like knowing how to do it is awesome, but then you could spend all day just mixing colors trying to get the color you want. So it's not practical for everyday watercoloring to, I was looking for yellow. It's not necessary for everyday watercoloring to actually need to mix, but knowing how, there we go. Yes. Knowing how to do it is awesome. And learning this is not a waste of time, even if you don't do it. Like, I haven't done this exercise in over 15 years. But knowing how to do it, how to get the colors that you're after, will never go away. Like, it took me a while to remember how to get this color, but it didn't go away. So it's sort of like riding a bike. So that beautiful color, what's great is when you dilute it out, it makes, you can add a little pink, you know, a little red to it to make it more pink. Makes a beautiful skin tone. Oh my gosh. It's so fun to play. Yes, this is so much fun. So that skin tone, I would use that in a heartbeat. And that was all mixed from just these colors here. We used only these colors, guys, to make a very rich dark black. I mean, you know, it's got too much water in it, but actually now it's dried out a little bit. Let's see, let's pick it up now. There we go. A nice black, a nice brown, and a nice yellowy brown. So you can see that they match fairly closely. We've got our yellow ochre here and our burnt sienna is right there. Oops, sorry, I'm off camera again. So this is so much fun. So now that we've covered like the basics, because I think, you know, all of these greens are different, so we could spend all day just mixing greens together. Hello, Carola. I don't know if I say your name right. I'm sorry about that. But now let's get into, let's see, what was the other things I wanted to, let's see. I showed how to mix browns. I'm just running through in my head all the stuff I wanted to go through. Let's do relative color. That's something that I think is hard to understand until you see it visually. But before I get going on that, now my water is looking more like mud, so I'm just gonna go wash out and get rid of this water and get some new water. I'll be right back. cutie. Hi. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's see here. Let's see who I was missing while I was up and about. I think I got everybody. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. Carola, am I saying your name right, or is it Carol? Carola? I'm sorry, I don't know. I've never seen that before, but it's beautiful. Every time I see your name, though, I don't know how to say it. Anyway. Okay, so let's go through relative color. Let's see. Okay, no problem. Yeah, we're doing a long lunch today. So, okay. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. I really do try. Okay, so let's do some relative color, because color doesn't just exist by itself. Color, when put next to other colors, changes the way it looks. It's really, really amazing. And that's why I say color is partly science, but it's also partly art. Oh, good. All right, good. I'm sorry. If I butcher anybody's name, it's not intentional at all. It's just that I'm a dumb American. I don't know how to say anything. You know, we try. So the next thing I want to do is just show you how colors can affect other colors. So we have a nice swatch of skin tone right here. So I'm going to play with that actually once it's completely dry. I'm teasing Kenny. I don't think that way. I think people from every country can be dumb, and every country has smart people in it, so it's not. It's just being goofy. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Okay. So this is still cool to the touch, but it's gonna dry in just a couple of minutes. So while it's drying, let's mix up some colors. So we have some really nice colors right here that we can kind of play with already. We have our black and our browns that we made up. For this particular exercise, let's go with some pure color just to really like hit it home exactly what happens when you put other colors next to each other. So we know from the color wheel, let's bring this snooze fest back. No, just kidding. So we know from the color wheel that when you, okay, so first let's just say that this color here is a base of orange. It's a muted orange. It's got a lot of other colors in it, like the blue that we put in, but it is still at its very core an orange mixture. So the opposite of orange on the color wheel is blue. Now, when you put complements, this is called a complement, but we're not going to worry about labels because who cares. When you put the opposites to the color wheel next to each other, they become much more vibrant. And same goes if you put a muted color. So that's what we're going to do. Let's take pure color. Is this dry yet? Close enough. Okay. So we're going to grab some blue, because what we just learned is that blue is opposite of orange. So we grab our blue. Let's say we wanted to make this much more vibrant than it is already. So I'm going to grab, let's take our ultramarine blue, because I'm a fan and so is Jo Beth. And let's just put that right next to it. I'm just butting it up right next to it. Now you can see it starts to look more orange, but I'm going to even exaggerate this effect even more. So now let's take a warm red. Okay, this is the same color. We know it's the same color because you saw me do it. It's the same exact color. Now I'm taking that warm red, so we've got W019 from Holbein, and I'm just going to, again, put it right up against that. This isn't orange, but it's a very warm red. serves our purposes really well. So now we know for a fact that this is the exact same color. But when you isolate them, so here, I don't know if you guys can see this okay. Oh, my battery is low. Hold on, let me plug in my phone. Yeah, I could, Rochelle, and we'll do more color theory too. But I wanted to just cover the basics and the general gist of the most important bits. So when you look here, this color looks more orange. It just does. Now you look here, and it looks more brown. And it's just because we've put a different color next to it, which is crazy. I'll do that again. Oh, I just dipped my finger in it. So it's kind of weird how the color play really does affect it. Let's do another more dramatic example. We've got this nice gray that we mixed already. So let's put the same color again. It's just a diluted version of that black that we mixed up. Let's use them up since we can. So we know again, this is the same exact color. In fact, actually, let me just make sure that they're the same. Okay, so I just did a little gray bar here. So this is even more powerful of an example. I think you guys will really see how color interacts. Let's just let that dry for a minute. Sorry, I don't have a heat gun here, or I could speed it up a little bit. Oh, sure, Kenny. You know, and we can do, this is just like the beginner basic stuff. I just wanted to start at the beginning, just not assuming that anybody knows this stuff, and then we can expand and do more advanced stuff as we go. I just really wanted to express, you know, the most fundamental stuff, and the fact that people stress so much about getting all of the colors in every like set of pencils or every, you know, I didn't want all of the Holbein watercolors. I only wanted the smaller set that contained just the colors that I needed. So, you know, these guys here, those are the most important colors. So if you want to go ahead and explore a new medium, just get the basic, a warm and a cool of reds and blues, and then a yellow, and you will be set to at least play around and know exactly, you know, how those pencils or that medium, whatever it is working. Let's make sure. It says I have low battery. Let's just make sure my phone, it is plugged in. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I smudged it a little. My bad. It's still wet. Well, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with needing to learn. I mean, and that's what we're all here for, is to help each other out. Like I said, I am not an expert. I'm not a color teacher. I just love color, and squishy. I know, I fall into that trap too. But the thing is so many people get discouraged. Oh, I can't do this because I don't have all the colors. Oh, I can't do this because I don't have this brand. Not true at all. I'm trying to just disprove those thoughts and feelings, because if you are on a tight budget, you can still create beautiful artwork. And I think I'm going to actually throw myself down a challenge. Let me just write this down really quickly in my little book. I'm going to do a painting all in just, or a pencil piece or whatever, all in just one little, I did that, one little set of colors. So the primaries that I've shown you here. We're going to do a coloring page or something with just this. So let's do that in my list. Where's my list? One page and 7 colors. There we go. Just to show you in more practice exactly how we layer and blend stuff in colored pencil that way. Yeah, exactly. If you have a pencil and paper, you can do whatever your heart desires. I just got a new sketchbook here. I'll give you guys a preview. I've been doing a bunch of sketches for my Victorian Valentine coloring page, and I came up with one last night that I really like. So I'll show you guys. This is how all my coloring pages start out, is just with a quick doodle. So, and then what I do is I take these doodles and I'll trace over them and do a finer drawing with tracing paper, or I scan it in and edit it out if it's clean enough. This one is not clean enough. But I kind of like this little lady. I might do her. I'm going to keep sketching a little bit more and then pick one. But yeah, for now, she's in the run-in. So that might be our page. But in any case, just having a pencil and paper, that's where it all starts. Thank you, guys. We'll see which one I end up picking, but there's a sneak peek. Hi, Heather. How you doing? Let's see, did I miss anybody else in the chat? Who else is here? Wow, we've got a bunch of people here. Okay, let's see. Is this dry yet? Yes. All right, so now we have a neutral gray. This is a really good example. I'm going to use, you can see it's all the same color. Don't mind my little finger lift there with that. Let's use the same two colors. So we have a blue and a orange, or a red, warm red. I'm going to dilute it a little just so it's a little easier. I'm going to make them a similar value, and we can talk about values in another episode because that is another big part of art. So it's not exactly the same value. Let's make it a little bit darker. Okay, now it's too dark. I'm just going to lift a little of this up and then sploosh the pigment around. Okay, similar but not exact. Okay, well, it could be exact. However, you can see we have a blue next to a gray here. Let's do the same now for our warm reds. The same exact colors we were using before. Okay, so now we don't even need to wait for that to dry to show our little experiment. So over here, this gray, I don't know if you guys can see here, let me zoom in a little, just to isolate this further so that way you aren't distracted. So this gray here now looks warm. Can you see that? Because I put a very cool blue next to that gray. In context, that gray looks warm, almost like a brown. But it's definitely gray. And then let's go over to this side. Can you see this, guys? Oh, I'm picking up some of the pigment, I'm sorry. Hold on, let's... Now, that gray looks bluer. Again, same exact gray. Amazing, right? So say you have a piece that it looks too yellow, or it looks whatever, you know, like say a skin tone looks too yellow. This happens to me sometimes. You know what I do in the background? I add yellow around her face. And then bam, it doesn't look too yellow anymore. It all has everything to do with context. So it's science, but it's also art. That's really what I wanted to show with this experiment. Yeah, bam! Yeah, I was channeling Emerald a little bit there. I'm a big fan of cooking shows. Sorry, guys.
So we're nearing so we're nearing 2 hours here, and I'm gonna have to go back to work, unfortunately. But before we go, yeah, I'm so old school. I love all of the cooking shows. Take care, Corolla. Have a good one. Yes, exactly. Please don't sue me, Emerald. I'm sorry I used your thingy. Um, but in any case, before we go, we have like 15 minutes till I need to get back to work. But is there any questions that you have or anything you'd like to see me mix, any color that you want to see me make out of this small selection of colors? Yeah, I'm guilty of watching all of the cooking shows, Michelle. You know, I'm not a great chef, but for some reason or whatever, I love watching the ones where they get really creative. Um, I think it's because I don't do that and it's fascinating to me to watch, but yeah. Also, I love food. So even if I shouldn't be eating, I like watching other people. Oh, boop. Yeah. Well, I also have the bird call too, Susie, so that might be a contender. Skin tones, you got it. So we mixed one skin tone here. That's my favorite type. Um, but yeah, let's do some more skin tones. Let's see, let's get a fresh page. Because, you know, that's why I like this cheap paper. It's because when you're playing around like this, you don't want to be using expensive Arches or anything like that. I don't even own an Arches watercolor block because I just find it to be far too expensive for the result. Excuse me while I extract this. Um, the only thing I don't like about this particular pad, some pads are better than others, but this particular one, the perforation doesn't work so good, so you have to kind of bend it back and forth. But that's okay. Okay, well, we'll do backgrounds in a whole nother video, Susie. I think that's a subject enough for another video. Hold on, let me write that down. Watercolor background. Do you want it to be watercolor backgrounds or just backgrounds in general? Where's my book? Here it is. I'm taking requests though, guys. So if you have a specific thing you want to see, if it's quick, I can do it now. If it will be more extensive, where's my sheet? Here it is. Watercolor backgrounds. Okay. Well, that was from Christina, but. Oh, Victoria, I've already done a watercolor galaxy, actually. You can find that on my channel. I will link it in the description as well when I'm done. Or, Christina, can you find, or one of the mods, I think there's Adri here too still. Yeah, I already did a galaxy one. That was a big request, so that's good. Both, I don't like to choose. In watercolor. Hi, Christina. Yeah, they really are. Oh, thank you, Adri. Yeah, it's my Galaxy watercolor tutorial. It's a short one. I did speed some things up in that one just to make it short for you guys. But I feel like with color theory, it's so extensive anyway. I'm like, let's just do it live so that way you guys can ask questions. Okay, so one skin tone is super easy. I'm going to show you the easiest skin tone you can possibly make out of these selective colors, and that is just by taking our warm red, our warm reddy brown color, right? So burnt sienna and most pigment names, but for Holbein it's W134. Let's grab that, make sure I've got the right color. 134 is here. So this color is beautiful. It makes both a medium brown and also a light color just by diluting it. So that, done. Beautiful skin tone. All the way from a warm complexion, warm medium brown complexion, all the way to a light skin tone. Done. No, just kidding. I'm going to show you other ones. So say you want it to be darker. We can mix some of our either pre-mixed black that we just made, or we can also mix other colors in. So let me show you a darker skin tone mixed from this beautiful Oh, that's okay. So the color that I just swatched is called Warm Brown in my little chart, and I can upload this onto my website if you guys want this chart. But we have the Holbein Watercolor W134, or it's usually called Burnt Sienna in most sets. So Italian Burnt Sienna in the Daniel Smith, Winsor and Newton is Burnt Sienna, and in Kuretake it's number 46. These are just the watercolors that I have available to me. So we're going to take that warm red brown, and I'm just going to show you my palette again. So that was the one that we mixed, but I'm just going to take the one right straight from the tube, and say we want it to be darker. You can mix black in, but I find black to be too harsh on the skin, and it makes it look too gray. So instead, I'm going to just take a tiny drop, if I can grab it, of the Ultramarine, or in the Holbein set, it's W094. Okay, have fun. Happy lunch, Michelle. Yeah, I can upload it, that's fine. Okay, is that too much? No, it might be all right. Let's see here. Yeah, it's too much. Too much water too. So let's get this going here. So we're mixing the sienna, the burnt sienna color. I think they call it, yeah, burnt sienna, yep. And just a tiny bit of the ultramarine, and it makes it a nice darker color brown. This is beautiful too. So if you don't have a red skin tone complexion and more of a cool, like an olive tone, you can dilute this out and make it also really, really beautiful. So this is like a warm complexion, and this is a cool complexion. So skin tones are really just diluted browns. So you saw we can make brown. We don't need to buy brown. But because of how nice and quick it is, I love to have this burnt sienna. It's also great for things like bark of trees and things like that. So getting these two browns will just speed up your process. Knowing how to mix them is awesome and really useful knowledge. But for the practicality of just wanting a quick watercolor, you know, buying the tube is totally cool. Oh, thank you, Shannon. Gosh, you're gonna make me cry. Well, you know, super chats are just gonna go to the the Laura's lunchbox. So, thank you so much. Aw. So there's a lot of other variations on skin tone that we can do. Yeah, thank you so much. Let's give a shout out to Shannon. Thank you. Really, I'm super happy sharing what I know with you guys, because it's really, I find it to be fun to share. Victoria, I would, I'm thinking about maybe doing a marathon stream one day, but to be honest with you, streaming still, I still have a lot of anxiety. Like today was one of the first days I streamed, but I planned it, but it wasn't early in the morning. So all morning I've been so anxious and worried, hardly getting anything done, to be honest with you. So I still need to work on my comfort level with streaming before I can do longer streams. But yeah, I'm going to lunch class on watercolor pencils. You got it. It's going on the list. Anybody else asking for requests? Please get them in now. So watercolor pencil lunch. Oh, thank you so much, Susie. Thank you, Daria. Thank you all for the thumbs up. I think we have more thumbs up than people watching. I don't know how that happens, but aw. You're so welcome, Natalie. And if anybody wants me to show them another quick color mix, we can do that now. Or I'm taking requests for full lunch videos too. I keep like in my notebooks, I keep, you know, all these requests. So if you guys ask me for something, I have so many lists of things that I want to cover. So even if I haven't gotten to it yet, it does not mean that I've forgotten about you. It's just that I literally, every time somebody asks me for something, I put it on my list. So the more requests I get for a specific topic, it kind of bumps it up and I do that first. So I had a lot of people asking me for watercolor color theory class, so that's why I wanted to do this one. Watercoloring snow, yes, I can definitely cover that. That could be a great wintertime, yes, that could be a great wintertime one. So watercolor snow. You got it, it's on the list. Layering, yes, layering watercolors. We have a lot of watercolor fans today. Layering watercolors. Got it. On the list. Oh, thank you so much, Jody. Take care. Thank you, Susie. Oh, enjoy your dinner. Nom nom nom. Yes, we can definitely do layering. Backgrounds in general. Yes, I have a whole bunch of background requests already. Does this cover it? We have sky with clouds, sunburst with light beams, sunset, easy soft backgrounds, bokeh, watercolor backgrounds I have here. So I have a lot of background stuff already on my list. If that doesn't cover it, if you want a specific background, then just let me know. Oh, thank you for coming, Charlotte. Uh-huh. I hope you have a great weekend too. Okay, well, let's put these back up on the screen just that way. Let's see if I can kind of get a good thing for the thumbnail. Because I don't know if you guys know, but I actually just take screenshots from the video for my thumbnails. So let's do a little arranging here. And thank you, Kenny. Thank you so much. And Kenny, don't worry, I'm going to be doing another pan pastel video very soon because I love them. I love them so much. I didn't know I loved them until I tried them. All right, take care, everybody. I think we're pretty much done on the requests, but if you do have a request and I missed it, please go ahead and put it in the comments below. Yeah, don't worry, we're getting back to that because that was fun. Yeah. Oh, hello, Charlotte. You're catching us, you know, you're coming and we're going, but thank you, Melissa. Let's give a shout out. Who's still here? We've got Christina and Christina. We've got Melissa, Adri, Kenny, Charlotte, Hella. We've got Pat. Hi, Jo Beth. Thank you so much for watching. Hi, Shannon. Thank you, Shannon, again so much. I really do appreciate it. You know that the money is going to go into the lunchbox on the next check. Oh, don't be sorry, Heather. Don't you worry. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Marsha. I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun doing it. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to take off, but thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me and playing with color. I hope that this was useful. And we'll be doing some more because it seems like this was a hit. So, yeah. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day and a magical time painting. Bye.